Joe, if we can start, excuse me, with the toe pads. Any thoughts?
My only thought is that Donald Trump has lacked empathy, has been a pathological liar, has been nuts his whole entire life. So I don't know if old age is creeping in now. This is the way Trump has always been.
I tell you what is interesting for an awful lot of people on this side of the pond. It's been said it before. I'm going to say it again. It does seem odd how, with a country with so many people in it, cannot find a different person who was a lot younger, who could actually do the business and would actually get voters behind them.
Well, I think the rest of the world needs to understand that America is at a real breaking point. We're going to be faced with probably Trump versus Biden again. Are you kidding me? That this is the best America can do? Well, right now it is the best America can do. The world's oldest and greatest democracy is in a lot of trouble. This country is breaking up. This country is dangerously divided. Our political system is really, really broken. I mean, how the hell does a country elect somebody like Donald Trump? Only a broken country does that.
Well, there will be other people who say, how can you... There will be others, of course, who say, how can a country like that actually vote for Biden, who is older than Donald Trump. I know not much older than Donald Trump, but, you know, he's a bit shaky on his legs. He seems to lose his way. I mean, I come back to that point. Out of all of those people in America, lots of clever people with lots of, you know, who are good at speaking, who've got great, presumably great values and great ideas and everything else. And yet, again, it comes down to two people who are in, well, they're old age pensioners.
Yeah, but understand, it's a bit deceptive. If Joe Biden tomorrow said he wasn't going to run, you'd have 20 to 30 young, interesting Democrats enter the race. They're all waiting, though. None of them want to run against Biden out of respect. But if Biden wasn't running, there are a lot of Democrats just chomping at the bit.
Well, there are lots of Republicans who are chomping at the bit. The problem is that nobody seems to want them.
No, that's exactly right. The difference is the Republican Party right now is a cult, and Trump is the cult leader. So if Trump said he wasn't running, a lot of Republican voters would leave the party because they're wedded to Trump. Both parties have problems. The Republican Party has a much bigger problem. It really has become an authoritarian embracing cult, and that's a real problem.
Well, it certainly is, because, I mean, he's broken so many records, as it were, in terms, despite all these legal challenges and everything else, he is the favourite to win the election in 2024. I'll just read this about what he has promised, some of the things that Donald Trump has promised. The largest domestic deportation operation in American history after rounding up illegal migrants in camps. He's going to end the war in Ukraine on his first day in office. He's going to build a state-of-the-art next-generation missile defence shield for the US, as well as up to 10 new freedom cities and an anti-woke university, and an energy policy, which he sums up as drill, baby, drill. A central licensing system for teachers to show they embrace patriotic values, military intervention to control protests, the shooting of shoplifters, the death penalty for drug dealers and child traffickers. And I haven't even got to the second page.
Hey, call it what it is. Donald Trump is telling America and the world that if he's elected, he's going to be a dictator. He's also promised to shut down media he doesn't like, and he's pledged to throw his political enemies in jail. Donald Trump is telling us he will be a dictator. And so that's really what's on the ballot in 2024. Joe Biden may be 140 years old, but Biden's not going to be a dictator. It's democracy versus authoritarianism.
Yes, but if people want a dictator, then they can vote for one, can't they? I mean, that is the long and the short of a democracy.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's actually the scarier point. Americans, a majority of Americans may want a dictator. I mean that. That's up in the air right now.
Joe, he's a fascinating character, and you're a Republican, but clearly no fan of Donald Trump. I guess the question has to be, why do you think, given how controversial he is, how right-wing he is, why do you think he does have so much appeal, both within the Republican Party and the wider electorate? And I guess the second part of that question is, don't you also somehow admire his political honesty? You know, we live in a time now where politicians aren't very honest with us at all, particularly when it comes to election pledges. At least he tells us what he's going to do. And actually, in his 4-year term, he did do most of it, didn't he?
Well, I love you and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, but you can never put honesty and Donald Trump in the same sentence. The guy lies as he breathes. But to your broader point, it's an important point. The American people have felt for a long time that their political system and politicians were ignoring them. Trump is a demagogue, and he tapped into how angry the American people are at our politics. Trump was brilliant in doing that. All the forgotten white men and women in this country who felt overlooked, Trump fed them. He's an amazing marketer, but he's a demagogue. And he's feeding a bunch of scary anti-democratic bull crap. Let's not forget, in the long history of this country, Donald Trump's the only president who lost an election and refused to participate in the peaceful transfer of power. I mean, that's scary, scary stuff.
But, Joe, isn't he also the only president in history that's never taken America to war, Joe? The only president in history that hasn't taken America to war.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Sorry, I shouldn't have overspoken you.
He's
the only president that hasn't taken America to war.
I'm not disagreeing that Trump did some good things. I voted for him in 2016. This is not about policy. When you lose an election in America, you transfer power to who won. Donald Trump didn't have the balls or the courage to do that. And then he incited an insurrection to try to overthrow that election. My God, does the world remember what happened on January 6th? And yet, to your point, he's still the leader of the Republican Party. I can't deny that.
So, Joe, what is the response then from DeSantis and Nikki Haley and every Republican congressman and governor and senator? What is their response to being better than Trump as far as both the Republican Party and the nomination are concerned, and again, the voting public? What are they doing about Trump in your own party?
Nothing. Because if you're a Republican and you speak out against Trump, well, then you're like me, or you're like Liz Cheney, and you're no longer welcome in the Republican Party. So DeSantis and Haley, all the rest of them, they know, like I do, that this is Trump's party. So they're being very careful not to attack Trump and to just hope something happens to Trump. But they know it's Trump's party.
When you say hope something happens to Trump, you mean illness, or he falls off his toe pads?
I mean a jail cell or a heart attack. Okay. Let's be real. Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, none of them ran to beat Trump. They know they can't beat Trump. They wanted to always be the alternative in case something happened to Trump. But this has always been Trump's nomination. It's his party, and he may well become president again.
And what do you think that people would think? I mean, obviously, it's a long time. We've got, what, 11 months until the election. But say he did get in again, what do you fear?
I fear that he'll succeed the second time where he failed the first time, and where he talked about being a dictator and shutting down speech he doesn't like and imprisoning people he doesn't like. I fear that he'll succeed in doing that. I fear that he will become a dictator. I really do fear, and I'm not alone, that he'll do whatever he can to tear down this democracy. I think that's what's at stake.
Right, if we can just move away for just a second to Melania and the mysterious whereabouts of Melania Trump. Where do you think she is?
No clue. I have no idea. I spend every minute of every day railing against the public Donald Trump. What goes on in private? Look, I have no clue what goes on between him and Melania. I would imagine that once Trump is officially the nominee and he's running for president against Biden, I would expect to see Melania and the rest of the family right there by his side.